a few clarifications were pointed out to me. As always, I screw up something in the rules. One is, these are the little Necromancer first player tokens. Serves that purpose. It's not really terribly needed, but it was something I harped on a bit about not being able to figure out what it was. It's one of those circular counters, but it is clearly noted in the rules here. And I remember reading this at one point, but things passed from my mind pretty quickly. And terms, I don't think it said start token, did it? Yeah, it does. Starting player necro token, that's pretty clear. I don't know why that slipped away. Much more influential on the game is that the blood token there should only move onto vortex spaces. So I've been counting every single hex, and this explains in the two-player game as well why we never reached the Awakening Evil. We never found out what was going to happen, and it's kind of questionable whether we would here either. I mean, it's way out here. That's a long distance. I counted up the extra spaces: 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 1, 2. And we'd be all the way out here. I don't want to reverse that. To some extent, I'd like to make up some ground on this and maybe at least start playing with the vortexes from this point on. But to tell you the truth, although it would shorten the game greatly, there are things that I kind of like about the long play out in the multiplayer game. I don't know if that had been coming up quickly, if people would have hit each other the way they have in this game. Some of that is the futility of this long wait. Anyhow, it would certainly have affected play significantly to have those, and I'm not going to have the time to run to a playthrough to see how the game plays out with that difference. Everybody's been kind of playing with the assumption that these are a long ways off. I might be willing to start doing movement on the vortices now, though. Condense the game a bit. I don't see how that would affect things, and I happen to be sitting on one right now. One thing placing this bomb, which I thought was a mistake, placing it early, has done is it makes this piece scary to these guys in the sense that they can't just walk up and kill it. Now I was looking at it, hey, the Demon Archer, if he moves next to something, the Salaman, hey, that's a bribe deck card, he could kill that, it's small, that would be dead immediately, and then I could move the Acid Locust into place. I probably can't get the Swine into range, but I think the other two, yeah, I could use archery and a unit next to it, but I don't think you can combine the two. But anyway, if I could get these guys into range to get right up against that, I could do, you know, a lot of damage because there'd only be one unit there, and then maybe be knocking out the guy who's doing the best, right? Out of my competition. In fact, there's sort of a coalition beginning to form of this guy's our worry, all right? You were doing okay, but when that big chaos shakeup came, really that yellowish green dude, the putrid player, we're going to call him, got great advantages, and nobody's anywhere near him in terms of power. You're still a little ahead of the rest of us, but not by much, and only if you can dig this thing out, really, do you gain any significant advantage. So, being able to kind of not just in part threaten him, because I know this thing can run up It's got a movement of 6, and it can run up and blow up 2 of my units. Now, it will probably die in the process, but not of dropping the bomb, but by exposing itself, it might well die. But it can shift that balance to where everybody's about even again. So that's a significant threat where I can't come, adventuring down in here without any thought. But also it is a prevention where I can't launch a valid attack against that thing. Now if I look at these combined, we're looking at 16, 15, 14 on the numbers that I'd be attacking. So I can't even do a missile attack on it, and that would expose me. So a lot of thoughts in place as to kind of how this stasis is being maintained, maybe due to the coalition that starts to be forming against the leading. So what our first player did, he shifted his swine. I had to make the roll. You know, one thing I have to say, I do complain a little bit about the game. I gotta complain about everything anyway. Four-sided die. I have to roll this thing way too much. I'm not a big fan of four-sided dice, and boy is it annoying the amount of times you have to roll it in this game. You really kind of have to flip them up in the air to have any randomness with them. They're unpleasant dice in general. Okay, so I moved that Hellswine out of the way so I'd have a line of sight, and I killed that annoying Pestilence. My Conjuration, I ended up getting an event in it, and that event created some of this crap, and I started digging again. Not a lot going on there. Jeez. And I'm exposed to this damn thing. Because he's so fast. I don't see a way to get away from him and still protect myself. So after that firing, I could move whichever creature. This probably is my best blocker, so I'll move like that, because that way I'll only lose this one critter as things stand to the bomb, because the bomb can be activated kind of at the same speed this gets activated. Everything would die. Silly me, I forgot to discuss the other thing I did. I created a medium-sized creature in with my wizard. Now this is important. He's got Squirting Lava 2 spaces, which is a ranged attack, again beginning with weapon. So I can combine this with the Demon Archer, and now I've got a powerful pair of firings. The problem is I don't have a lot of squads left, so I've got them in my Necromancer squad. I might end up eventually moving the Necromancer into the Acid Locust. Whoa, 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 whoa. These are in the wrong order. Got my numbers mixed up. I thought the Archer was number 3. Yeah. I might eventually move the Necromancer into something safer like the Piggy or the Locust, so that I can explore, conduct some adventurism with my archery capable units, which can be a really dangerous combination. I feel like this probably negates the willingness of the red player to charge forward with that bomb. Okay, so a nice option for the red player was to move back and grab that big old Corruptor. It looks like a massive nasty monster, and it is, but when I'm able to combine a couple of my stacks, I've got more than enough to ensure that I got this thing. So now I'll have this guy who's powerful, and when I win battles I get to draw extra cards, but more importantly, he's big and can carry things. Now this guy's big and can carry things, but he can't use them, and he's slow. This guy's kind of fast. I have some other options in my hand that are larger creatures. Actually, I used one for the gore. I might have wanted to try to cast this because it's more expendable. Like with this one side, but slow as hell. No, that wouldn't work. You know, my single-mindedness convinced me, hey, if I can get this, then I have my goal, then I hand the bomb to him and he can wipe those guys out. But the truth is, that bomb will wipe him out too. Unfortunately for me, the only option of something that I could send that would be safe would be something that could be killed probably by this. Again, depends on the deck. But anyway, we had a few choices of critters. We could have gone for this Horned Hellion, but doesn't have any carrying ability. And we took the one that looked the most valuable to us. And I think that's all, except I forgot to remove my dig token. And the gathering of critters continues here. With our purple player positioning his necromancer, and he cast a new critter. And yes, I'm starting to bop these up by the vortex. That seems almost a little too fast. I want kind of a compromise between the two. And obviously you could rearrange that track however you like it. This is just zooming along now because you do summon things fairly often. I may leave out the end of turn ones when instead that unless, as they suggest, there's no critters summoned, because this is just zipping along. Okay, so I cast myself another critter and then moved into place with my shoddy abominations. That gave me enough of, I mean, this critter is the same as what I was attacking, another dexterous decapitator, different values, but pretty much the same kind of critter. And I took that out. So now I have, I did a subdual, so now I have significantly more strength where I could face this thing. And you can see how when critters are near you, it's actually a good thing usually, unless they jump out of the pit and attack you just because you happen to be next to them, essentially. Alright, one more player for this round. And our final player is having a hard time getting any traction at all, however. He's kind of over here on his own, digging. A little bit of combat ability, but not enough to risk going into the center here to grab something that inherently isn't that valuable. He's hoping for digs. He did a meditation to grab a chaos card, hoping that'll shake things up and help him, the way some of the chaos cards seem to have helped other people or hurt other people. First player has engaged in something that I consider kind of a bad situation, which is he's got all his cards, all his squads on the board now. He needed to do this in order to split off that other archer thing so that he could send it down for a solid front. He's going to take the swine into his own stack, I guess. He also used his archer to plink the blood boss that was here. Just, you know, score some more points and take away something that really didn't do him any good, except maybe as a lure, in the sense that that may have been valuable for other people to walk out into the center and get themselves shot, but then again, so is the extra resources. Those can be of some use too. All right, the British player was faced with a neat choice here where he wants to use this corruptor to move the bomb into position. In order to do that, he had to get rid of what the corruptor was carrying, and you can't just drop items, I don't think. So what he did was he activated it. It's this silly gate here. It's in a dumb place for the gate, but honestly, with his multiple hex wide corridors, that gate's not terribly valuable to him anyhow. What this does is he can pass through it but not stop on it. Other forces must destroy it to pass, and they give it the values. You can only attack using weapons, and the gate can't hurt you. So, you know, it provides this kind of piece of garbage in the dungeon or cave system no matter what. Other than that, what do we got going on? We moved in and we attacked and took control of this Horned Hellion. Now, one of the questions about this that you have to come up with is, I've just filled up all my slots too. That takes a lot of flexibility out of my hand. This guy's planning on compacting what he's got, but there's no clear way here now. He's probably going to lose a unit in his attack. What I'm planning here with this 3, he's got a 5 movement, 1, 2, 3, 4. He attacks this. After he kills it, he can move his extra movement point forward to Hearsay and then blow up the bomb and get rid of those other units. So he's forcing this guy to do something. Now what that something is hard to tell, because I think he can probably shoot this guy with his 2 archers and remove him as a threat. And then that bomb will just be sitting there and more kill points assessed for player 1. Which means as time passes, player 1's getting the edge in a sense towards what the Awakening Evil events tend to be. They tend to favor the person who's got the most kill points. Although favor might mean somebody comes and attacks you. I don't remember the order of that, whether that goes from most or least kill points. I think actually they start attacking the person with the least kill points. Who that favors when something attacks you that can win you the game if you beat it, that's a good question, because if you can't beat it, you'd rather not be attacked by it. But if you can beat it, you want to be attacked right away so that nobody else gets a chance to beat it first. Alright. Purple performed an attack to subdue against the Guardian there, or Protector, or whatever he's called. And that is now part of his faction, taking up the 4th of his, or 5th really, of his 6 total squads. And we see everybody's kind of built up to some sort of power. Now his is kind of iffy, with a couple of shoddy abominations as one of his squads, and some kind of crappy stuff built in to his total force. But still, he's at a reasonable level. This is the only guy who's really not. We'll see what he can do about it. There's a card that feels like it came from a different rule set, essentially. Although this is the 2nd edition, so you'd think any such issues would have been cleared up, even though some of the ambiguities, there's a lot of them, haven't. But here under combat, attacks first. What? That may just be words that don't mean anything. In terms of the game itself, it does not mean anything. And then if killed, poison causes -2 attributes. All this can do, if it is just words, is confuse. I know some of them tend to, try to make some kind of, explanation of what's happening. But attacks first causing poison doesn't really fit. If you just said has poison, or said something about the poison and the effect applied, that would make sense. But this attacks first sounds like a completely different ability, and it's one that doesn't make sense within the framework of the game, because you're either the attacker or you're not. And if you're the attacker, combat's a comparison of these values in a die roll. There's nothing like, a magic system where you do X amounts of damage to one creature, and if you did that before the creature got to swing at you, that could affect things, the first strike ability in Magic. So here, it's just leaving me kind of confused. It probably means nothing. Alright. So that gave me a couple of metal. I'll continue my dig. I'm digging into this hex for... Oh, no, I'm digging to collapse. I've got this upside down to try to remind me that this is a collapse digging. I guess you could actually put the rocks upside down as well. That would probably help too. And I don't know what to do with this guy. He just doesn't have much going for him. I, of course, meditate out of the Chaos deck, and I got an event there. I'll get to that in a moment. But a cool little trinket critter here with a high strength. This is something that doesn't count against stacking. definitely a bonus to add to your groups. What I got was this Goronado. Place marker in the pit for Goronado. I don't think there is one, but I don't think it matters. I think I can use anything for it. Goronado moves from pit to your necromancer, stealing all gore from squads and spaces in its path, and then disappears. So it's going to be there, and we'll just use this die. I don't think it can move through a rock, although there could be a problem where this couldn't actually reach your necromancer in that case. I could go through squad 2 of mine, but I don't have anything to steal there anyway. So basically all I do is carry some gore off to myself. That could be a really cool event in terms of getting you more resources, but in this case, hard to tell how much, it didn't do me too much. It did grab me a few things. Comes from the initial pit, right? Yeah, this is the pit as opposed to all the other pits. Alright, around for another round. Shit, I can't remember if I summoned anything this round around. I must have, right? I don't think I did. I don't think anybody summoned any critters. Yeah, we had a lot of capturing things that died, so this will move forward. The yellowish yuck player has had what looked like an extreme advantage, and I was thinking those archers would allow me to cope with the bomb. Unfortunately, they don't, and they present a real problem. So, let's see where he is. It's this lava maul here. I need him with my demonic archer. Not in the same stack, but both to fire at the same time. He has a speed of 3. And he's this 1, 2, 3. He's only got a range of 2. He's not fast enough to get his shot off on this thing. And that means I'm in danger of this rather fast thing being able to run up and drop a bomb on my critters. There's not a whole lot I can do. I can't close with him in attack or he'll drop the bomb. Of course, that's actually more potent because that would get rid of this thing too and just cause a lot of bloodshed all over the place. I assume you don't get points for killing your own critters, since there's no kill points for that, if I give them out for non-combat killing, like a bomb, which I think I'm going to do. So I drew for some Abyss cards, and I ended up getting a random, which is going to cause a random excavation somewhere near my lair. Well, within a D12 of my lair. And that's kind of... that could show up in a lot of different places, right? It could show up down here, it could show up down here. You just don't know at this point. So I don't have a lot of understanding, although I will have some control over where it goes once that die is rolled. And it doesn't have to be connected to anything. So, I don't know what to do with these guys. I think they have to pull back to get out of range of this, unless I've got something I can throw as a barrier. If you remember, my initial setup was like this because it actually prevents me from being passed by. I have this initial unit here, this Acid Locust. If he wants to ram into that first, I'm kind of allowing that. The problem is he can hit it, advance into this space. This is what I saw before. 1, 2, 3, 4 attack from here, and then move into this space, blow the bomb, and actually kill everything. So I've got to get these guys out of here. I haven't done that yet. My digging got me this little antechamber and some black fire, but it also got me this stench of a disgusting beast, which is going to draw a creature 2 spaces from the excavators on the new tile. Well, that can't happen. I guess 2 spaces from where they excavated. They wanted to stumble into that space, but whatever. They're going to have to run away from it then. retreating full movement in disgust. And then I also did some meditation, and that's going to give me a pile of resources at some range randomly from the pit. But yeah, I have to get these guys out of here. All these events and the type of game it is, I want to roll them all out as I come. So the first one is this excavation card, which is going to be D12 spaces from probably the entrance of my lair. Yeah, from a lair entrance space. So, and I can ignore any events. Alright, I'm going to get a little alcove. Oh, crap, I got to draw one of them. That's why I like doing things offline. But some of this game almost begs to be done online. Alright. Catch it as it's happening, because it's kind of cool. So 2 spaces from the entrance of my pit. The entrance of my pit is here. That could be this way, but that's going to be hard. I could actually shove it right in here and give myself some more maneuvering room. And then of course I have to roll up to see what's in the room. And it's a card. It's one of these. And we get an imp, which is not terribly impressive except that it's a trinket card. Alright. I have no idea where to put this. I'll put it here so... Well, he's going to die, that's the problem. But that's a shame, but I don't know what else to do, because I won't be allowed to subdue or anything like that. Alright. Now this next one is a creature card from the bribe deck. And we do get a creature. Yeah. Having to put these counters so far away is causing some definite issues. 2 away. And now it's a stinky burrowing swine. So we retreat full movement. And that's group 1, the necromonks. They can go 3, I guess they'll go down there. And finally, the Blessing of Beneath, which is going to be a D4 for the type of resource and amount. I assume that can create a card. Not absolutely certain there because it does specify resource. Luckily I didn't get that. So I'm going to get 3 gore, 9 spaces from... Let's put this pipe down so I can breathe. 9 spaces from what? From the pit. Well, I want that near me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'll put it up here. So we found a bunch of stuff near us this turn. And that's the end of our turn. We don't get to fight these until next turn or cope with them in any way. And meanwhile, we've left the acid locust out here in the front. Now, I don't have a lot of options because I only really have the critters that I have in front of me. I have other things I could cast, but I don't have anywhere to put them because they're all big critters. There's items and spells and such not, but these were basically the 3 critters that I had available, and they're all large size. So I can't just throw something else in place. And this thing's not going to cause the bomb to go off. I'm going to be able to attack with red to get rid of that. Okay, so now the red player has done a number of things. He's charged forward with his Corruptor, but he's only used 3 of his movement points, so he has 2 more to fall back. And that still creates kind of this danger zone where this guy can't really launch an effective attack with his missile units without risking losing everything, I think. We'll see how that works out. I'm a little worried I'm not thinking carefully enough, but that's okay. Like I said, people screw up. I've moved this unit forward this guy's moving towards the pit there, not the pit, but the to dig out my insane demoness. And then these are going to go and try to grab the Necromonk using subdual combat. I'll report back on what succeeds and what doesn't there. No summoning still, although he actually, the Necromancer, got a kind of cool critter. He couldn't cast because he's low on metal, but this is got a trinket critter, and trinket critters are just awesome because they don't take up space in your squads. And the Necromonk was a successful capture, getting me a couple of them together. That gives me more digging capability. And over here the attack was successful. It actually was a closer fight than I had thought, because this Locust had penalties on the opponent's armor and weapon, and I had chosen a weapon attack, which may have been unwise. I might have been much better off, in fact I would have been much better off attacking with the right side rather than stuff off the left side there. So I made it riskier than it had to be. I think this guy may be at risk though. The Demon Archer can get within range where he can see. Now, can this other guy also be in range where he can see? And I've got to find him. He's only got 3 movement points. I'm iffy on the lines of sight there. I don't think I'm going to be able to see with both of them around that corner there. But I might be able to pick off something here. Yeah, those are a little bigger. Yeah, I can't see saying that I could make it through basically from this hex to that hex without it being blocked by the walls. So I may not be able to get a good line of sight into play there. However, I could do it from this hex and this hex. And if I can shoot this guy, that's potent, but it's not a guarantee, because then the bomb's still going to be lying there, and that can be picked up by just passing over it. So this could all get bloody really fast. So purple shook things up, drawing from the Chaos Abyss deck more than he should have probably. The Necromancer nearest the pit rolls a d4. Now, on a 2 through 4, that's going to mean fright. The nearest 2 are actually these 2, so I guess he gets to choose one of them. What it's going to do is force all his squads to run towards him. That does nothing whatsoever to this guy, and very little to this guy, except, well, it looks like he's locked into combat with this imp, and he's going to have to kill it. I'm going to try to hit this guy just because that's the closest effect, and it doesn't even have an effect, so that's no biggie. And then the next one's going to be a bunch of spawns everywhere. He's been moving his pieces forward to try maybe to finish this guy off, even though there's sort of this generalized truce. His feeling is, well, if we can get rid of a player, that's to my advantage, but that might end up backfiring, so he's not completely committed to it. And he also couldn't move his Necromancer closer to the pit or all his pieces would flee. This Necromonk is up to some kind of digging, and I have no idea what he's digging there. I don't know if this occurred due to an event or something, and if I was intending to dig into that hex. I can't remember these kind of things, and there's no markers and no way of noting where you're digging. So if you play like I do, wandering away regularly, you're going to lose track of some of the information that maybe you can keep in your head a little easier if you're just sitting playing in one session. Anyway, I've got spawns on every single pit. Out of those, the most interesting, now over here we've got spawned wandering monsters that aren't on spawn pits. The only really interesting one, most of its resources, was over here. We got a Necro Priest that showed up. Now he's going to end up getting killed because nobody can actually take him. He's kind of cool because he gives bonuses to every other creature with the term Necro down here. Basically, if he's got a whole stack of Necros with him, each one gets, the whole squad gets a bonus equal to all the other Necros in the squad, which is kind of cool. And that includes him too. He gets bonus by it too because he's a Necro. And for the fourth player here, he drew an event here, which is going to create an excavation tile D4 from his Necromancer after he moves. So that'll give me an opportunity to build some more stuff out here somewhere that I can investigate. But more importantly, I've been digging and I'm going to collapse. And I'm curious, I haven't done this before in this scenario, so I wanted to show it. I'm going to get it. Oh, actually, I did do a collapse there. I get a Great Hall. That's what I was doing with him. I was digging, and I guess into this hex. But it's not really a Great Hall. And I hope and assume that the game comes with enough of these tiles for each of the cards over there, which is probably way more than you need in a game. Anyway, we dug this out. Now, here's an interesting factor. I don't need this piece anymore. If something digs them out, it'll already replace this, so I don't need to just keep piling pieces on top. That piece is completely covered by other pieces, so I can just remove that, and now we're in there. And that's kind of blocked off any attempt to get there. I'll finish off the rest of his actions. I don't know what he wants to do with his Necromancer. Ended up meditating on the Abyss deck, which is always risky, but I'm in such bad shape. And ended up getting myself another card. Now this first one is going to be my Excavation card, which will be D4 spaces from my Necromancer. And we ignore events here. So we get a Crooked Hall of Darkened Craft. And it's going to be flame is the only thing that can be there. Okay. I gotta find a thing, but it's going to be only 2 hexes away from my Necromancer. And I get that here. Put that there. And how much flame in it? We'll get 2 flames in that. And yeah. Just kick that there. And that's this. And then the other one is this Incur Wrath. So hard for me to read the font on these. Roll a d4 for each card type. No, 4 card type. Draw cards from the deck until you get a creature, and that creature will be a d12 spaces from your lair entrance. You can ignore and discard events and other cards drawn. Of course, there's a question here of how much, I want a creature near me. We'll see what it is. It's going to be a chaos critter. These are all spells, items, events. Alright, so this is what I get, a rotten shape. I see no reason I don't want this near me if I can make it. So a d12 from my lair, let's see what we get. Oh, 11 spaces from my lair entrance though. That's going to be tough to be in my area. Now, I could probably put it out in the middle of the rock. I don't know. I might be able to do an assassination by putting it in a place like that, except it's a pretty damn weak critter. I don't see it really being too damaging to anyone. This guy's got so much stuff. so many points already. I'm going to give it to him, and that'll be somewhere in his lair, actually. So the greenish yellow has decided to go forward and launch those missile attacks. I don't know how well this... Oh, shit, I cheated. I gotta kill this thing. You know what? I can just say that's dead. There's no chance it had of surviving. And that's not going to affect anything this turn. It's just going to give me some points and some... I don't know if there's any gore for one of these things, one of these trinket creatures. I don't think so. Problem with that setup, and I marched up and shot, what is it, the Corruptor here, which was a pretty good creature, knocking the bomb on the ground, is I have nothing to screen my nice archers with. So I had to summon another creature. I made this Horrior, which is nice and fast. It charged its way up. That means I can't move my Necromancer. And now it's right next to the bomb. I can walk in, pick up the bomb, and blow that thing up. But then I'm exposed in this space. It's just creating this problem for the red player. Hey, do you want to go tit for tat? I've got a good hand of critters. How about you? You know, I'm willing to sacrifice something this big and powerful in order to protect my archers, which are actually more powerful. They can pick off your stuff from a distance. They could even, you know, if you're anywhere near them, they could move forward maybe a space or two to get you in range and then fall back a space or two. Of course, number 5 here, the Lava Maul, is a little slower at speed 3, but the Demonic Archer is very good at speed 4. And if it's smaller critters, he can wipe them out no matter what. Of course, he also has an ability like the bomb, but he can't face the bomb directly. It would mean, you know, a trade-off where both sides die, and that's not particularly good either. Anyway, that's going to put red now back on the hot spot. What do you want to do? You lost your critter. You did something, you had some effect, but you lost your critter with the bomb. Now what? Actually, you didn't have much effect at all. Created this, which you can pick off if you want, but that's your option. And you can keep trading critters here. Now things get kind of complicated and tricky. So I want to blow that thing up or kill it. Got a number of different options. All right. Yeah. I'd like to go further though. I'd like to hit the lava critter. I'm not going to be able to get to the Demonic Archer, but I can get further than I did. Let's see what we can do here. So I got critter 5 here, this Horned Hellion, and I got stack 2, which is these two. If I can beat that straight up in combat, and it's potent, but I'll get to choose my attack, weapon, armor, and special. I'm going to face one of them that's bound, and, you know, have to figure out, well, I don't want to be up here, but I'm probably going to be going on this level. Have to figure out where my odds are the best. If I can kill that, I can pick up the bomb, and then I can run forward with the one remaining unit, split him out. He's nice and fast, and send him forward to kill that thing. I hate to use him up for this. He's a really cool critter, but I feel like I need to get a grip on this guy. And in particular, if I start to get control of the central region, I can get my other big critter back, which is one of my goals here. You know, as long as this thing is frozen, I'm losing a squad, and you know, my sacrifices are probably worth making to get that critter back. Not just for the squad, but also it's a good critter, a really good critter. It forces everything in a stack to fight itself. Now, that's not terribly useful against this guy with his bigger critters in single stacks, but, yeah. And I also ended up casting my trinket critter here with my Necromancer, just to give him a little bit more power. I don't know how, you know, it's kind of a waste to put him back there, but he doesn't have anywhere else to really go, so I'm picking up resources and starting digging there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make that multi-step attack. Let's make sure my numbers add up. So over here, I can't use her, she's not here. So over here we're looking at, let's see, what are my numbers here? I got to beat 3. He's got weapon, armor, and special. I'm going to be looking at like Bloodthirst for my thing. And I've got pretty good stats there. And then these guys are not too bad at it. I could probably win on any level. It's one of the things with the game is that you can usually look and see, yeah, I can win at any level with this. So I'll move forward. That spent 1 movement point, and I could use little dice or something to mark my movement points here. That's this stack. Oh. Yeah, the problem is this is the fast guy. Now, can he join that other stack? Yes, he can fit in that stack, so he can notionally move in here. I could also hand something off. So this guy goes 2 and picks this up. Now let's make sure stack 3 doesn't have anything it can do here. Okay, we picked up, that's the bomb. We clearly do not want to use the bomb. And now we add up our attacks. We're looking at 11, 15, 22 to begin with against an 11. Very good chance there. And we'll see the others are too. I'm expecting we'll break through this. I gotta remember my movement points. 1 with this and 2 with this, I think. I don't know. The first round went well for the attacker, but the second one, the defender's going to take his armor. He's got a 9, and he takes 3 off each other critter. So he's only facing 6. Nothing added here. 15. It's still a disadvantage for me. So it's still +6 on the attacker. I'm using the red die for them. And they're going to win the battle and defeat this critter. Now, this was the guy back here. Yeah, this was the guy who gets to draw cards. That was a cool ability that I lost there. Anyway, we're going to have a death here. And then we continue on with these movements. I'll take care of that. I'll come back to take care of the actual movement there. Now, with a movement point spent, or maybe 2, I'm not sure. I've got this guy here. He's going to move forward. It's a new stack with my speedy guy with the bomb. 2, 3. I could jump in here, but that doesn't really help me. I blow up the bomb, assuming 5 has nothing he can do here. That destroys all medium and large within a 1 space radius. This is the only one there. So we'll be getting rid of that and getting kill points for that. Now, we spent 2, 3, and we'll be coming back 4, 5 and rejoining one of our groups here. We can actually pick up this metal, but other units could move as well instead. So I can kind of decide I may fall back a little bit from that archer because he may be able to pick something off again. I don't think this guy had the movement, but I could have tried to push all my units forward. That's not going to happen though. I just didn't have the movement points for it. But, so I'm going to be stuck in this kind of position. But if the sort of ultimate would have been wipe this guy out, grab the bomb, blow this guy up, move more units forward, and then hit this guy. I couldn't do that though because I can only do 1 attack per round. The bomb was just an activation. And in general, so I think it's important to play the game this way. Actually, the rules seem to suggest it this way. But the publishers kind of came back with, hey, when you move next to something, you have to attack it. Oh, shit. I'm cheating. When you move next to something, you stop. And you must attack it. All right. That means I couldn't do all that movement I did. All I could do was attack here. That bomb didn't go off. Son of a bitch. So I think the bomb's actually... Well, I moved up on the bomb. So I've got the bomb back. And I gotta refix the points. Well, it would have been a neat game to do that little tricky maneuver. But obviously, that is beyond what's allowed. So I've got to fix some of that. It seemed like a really clever idea. That's the kind of planning that I would have liked in something like this. But yes, that is absolutely against the rules. Oops. We'll reset the positions, and The two archers are still there, and that means red's in a lot of trouble. He didn't want to make that. He didn't want to make that advance. He thought it was safe what he was doing because he was going to just blow through and make that attack. And damn it, definite screw up there, and that means he's going to be in some serious trouble. He got caught trying to cheat. Happens to me all the time in these kind of games. I think I've got some clever idea in mind, and then somebody says, wait a minute, you couldn't do that. You got to be careful when you're playing with me. Alrighty. Purple pushes the marker forward by falling back further, building themselves another creature. Now they filled out their squads here. This is a necrotic devil. Sounds kind of cool. All opponents must stay 3 spaces away unless they're attacked. However, necros, demons, and undead are immune. Well, that's a big chunk of the critters in the game. So largely his special ability just means there's a few critters that can't approach him, but a lot of the stuff really can. And his special ability is not that big a deal, but he does have a huge fighting capability. I also cast this demonic follower spell. Well, I invoked it, which means I'm carrying it. I can't actually cast it with my necromancer because he did something else. And I think my only other spellcaster is my necromonk, who finished a digging activity and found this little overlapping tunnel here, which is causing the board starts to get kind of messy as things kind of lean on each other. Alright, that moves us to the final player for the round. Well, the reveal space has been shown, or is going to be shown. This necromancer built himself one huge creature, an ogre lord. This is a very, very big creature in almost all directions. His big bonus is he can automatically subdue any ogre within 4 spaces. Ogres immediately move up to full movement away from enemy squads and may fight. Now, the question of course is, can you do this against enemy ogres or just wandering ones? I would say this is, as a special ability, I would say yes, I could use it against an enemy squad ogre and let it run back to me. That's what the card seems to suggest it's useful for. But subdue isn't really the right term here then, right? I mean, subdue is an action you take in combat, and this is an ability trigger that would allow me to call the ogres to help me. Now, that's a big question. Do I have other ogres? This does not appear to be an ogre. This appears to be an ancient humanoid swine. That's what I'm reading it as. I don't know if I have any ogres on the board. I haven't seen many. I'm not quite sure what they would be like, right? This is a gore. I think they probably have ogre in their title, but they may not. That's not what it's going to be based on. So you have to look at every critter on the board and see, are there any ogres that I could deal with? I want this critter anyway. But what about the hell swine? No, that's swine. Alright. I thought since this is an ogre and it says swine, maybe the swine say ogre on them. Okay, so the main reason I wanted him though is he has digging ability. He's big. Now I could use him with flank digging to help this, to work with the ghoul and dig if I was playing with that option, but I'm not going to be playing with that. This guy's got decent movement. 1, 2, 3, 4. These up. Oh, before I do that, jeez, I've got to check my Awakened Evil, and it's the Darkest Evil Bitch. This is our combat values. I do have to find Well, there's a number of ways you can find out about her. One is she should have a card here, which is somewhere else, which gives the rules on her over here. But we also have rules on her in the rule book itself. Let's briefly look at what she's going to do. Now, she doesn't come into play until we reach all the way down to here. This is just we get to know what's going to happen. So at the beginning of each cycle, she appears adjacent to the Necromancer with the least enemy kill points and combats that Necromancer's squad. If the Necromancer's squad is surrounded by other squads, she destroys them all and is placed adjacent to the Necromancer, so you can't protect yourself. If the Necromancer is placed adjacent, if the Necromancer is collapsed in a rock, single space excavation tiles are placed for Darkest Evil Bitch and the Necromancer to enable combat. It sounds like she fights just the Necromancer. She'll destroy everything else around him. Blinding spell, -3 strength, dodge, and armor to the enemy squad. And that looks like it's that little binding symbol there, which means it affects each critter. Cannot be flanked, cannot be attacked by any squad other than the Necromancer squad. Immune to items, spells, and once per game abilities. All of these final characters are immune to the once per game. Except, once per game. Immune to Mind Chanter, Brain Sentry, Astral Worm. And you have to defeat her to win. Now, if you're potent and at the lowest amount of kills, you can kill her. Is she devastatingly powerful? Pretty damn close at 27 each, facing just the Necromancer and up to 2 small critters and whatever. Items and such don't count. That sounds pretty nasty to me, but you got a shot. On the other hand, the other players are going to be sitting back and watching her chew through people with less points. So the question then becomes, where do you want to be in the point status? You know, you may not have too much control over it, but if you have a powerful stack, you may want to go first. If everybody has powerful stacks, you may want to go first for the chance to kill her. If you don't have a powerful stack, you want to get your score up high. If you're the highest score, then you'll be the last one attacked, and by default, everyone else will be dead, right? The dangerous thing, though, is, hey, someone else has a high score and I don't, or has a high combat ability and I don't. And, you know, do I want to let them get attacked? Do I have a chance? Where you'd have to figure out all the probabilities involved. Anyway, I'm going to start my digging with these suckers.